Well, thank you, Chairman Burgess, Ranking Member McGovern, and members of the Rules Committee. I appreciate the opportunity to testify on H.R. 4790, the Promoting Economic Growth over Woke Policies Act. To ensure our financial system remains the envy of the world, we must promote sensible policies that encourage innovation, improve access to investment opportunities, and foster economic growth. That means Congress and financial regulators must balance policies that promote a vibrant financial system and a capital formation with those that protect investors and consumers. However, under the Biden-Harris administration, supposedly independent agencies have been hijacked to push through a very partisan environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, agenda, reversing long-standing efforts to keep politics out of the financial system regulations. Unelected bureaucrats have hijacked and overhauled the public company shareholder proxy process, adopted rules and guidance that exceed their statutory authority, redefined the materiality standard, which has been a legal precedent for decades, and ceded authority over American financial regulation to global governance bodies. In other words, rogue regulators are forcing companies to waste their limited time and resources on ESG mandates that have little to do with a firm's financial performance, and in fact, an ignored fact that is oftentimes glossed over is that these companies, by law, must disclose material information, otherwise they are literally breaking the law. Now, does that make sense? Who does it benefit? It certainly doesn't benefit our banking system or capital markets, nor does it help consumers, workers, job creators, everyday investors, or retirement savers. That's why House Republicans are fighting back with H.R. 4790, the Promoting Economic Growth over Woke Policies Act. This bill is almost 2 years in the making and is a product of a collaborative process that included nearly every single Republican on the Financial Services Committee. Last February, Chairman McHenry formed the committee's ESG working group for the Republicans, which I am honored to lead. Through numerous meetings with stakeholders, the working group developed an interim report which was released last a year ago in June, and a final report was released just in August. Committee Republicans drafted dozens of bills to address the risks posed by the ESG agenda, which are outlined in the working group's reports. These efforts culminated in a markup of 4 legislative packages in the Financial Services Committee, including my bill called the Guardrail Act, Congressman Stiles' Protecting Retirement Savings from Politics Act, Congressman Norman's Business Over Activists Act, and Congressman Loudermilk's America First Act. Those bills were combined into the Promoting Economic Growth over Woke Policies Act, which is part of the rule being considered here today. So let's recap. Under the Biden-Harris administration, rogue regulators are weaponizing independent agencies to pursue the ESG objectives of the far left at the expense of our financial system and everyday investors. Frankly, Mr. Chairman, they know they can't get those rule changes through the legislative process, so they have been trying to use their own authority and power. And they've been losing at the court level on a number of those attempts. But this includes abandoning the materiality standard, which has been a pillar of our securities laws for decades and a key contributor to the dominance of American capital markets. The proxy advisor duopoly and large asset managers are abusing their outsized market influence to force left-wing political views on public companies rather than aligning their shareholder voting with financial interests of investors and the economic goals that they have. An alliance of left-wing activists, unaccountable global governance organizations, and politicized Biden-Harris regulators are weaponizing the U.S. regulatory framework governing American financial institutions to inject radical ESG initiatives to the detriment of consumers and our banking system. That's why H.R. 4790 is so essential. It will, 1, prevent regulatory overreach. 2, restore the materiality standard, a key part of this. 3, reform the SEC's proxy voting process. 4, hold large proxy advisory firms accountable. 5, block regulators from injecting ESG initiatives into our financial system. And finally, reassert sovereignty over American financial regulation. So with the Promoting Economic Growth over Woke Policies Act, House Republicans are taking action to protect the financial system, workers, job creators, and everyday investors from the radical ESG initiatives that put left-wing politics and their goals above the American prosperity. So thank you for allowing me to testify, and I yield back.